Deep in the Soviet Union, 1945. A dedicated Russian scientist, Gary Brunner, begins an experiment on 3 Nazi war criminals: Felix Nast, Michael Boogaard, Ganz Berlitz, Zach Ross, and Ulrich Schultz, Brett Solferino. These men are confined in an airtight chamber for 30 days, exposed to an experimental sleep deprivation gas. The goal is to keep them awake, forcing them to confront their demons and psychological traumas while being meticulously analyzed by the scientist. Produced by Framed Pictures. Audio TRANSCRIPT may contain errors. Scientist: Good evening. Please state your name, age, and weight. Felix Nast, age 41, weight 58 kilograms. Ulrich Schultz, age 29, 71 kilograms. Ganz Berlitz, age 19, 68 kilograms. Scientist: Very good. You gentlemen will now undergo an experiment that will benefit the soldiers of the Soviet Union. You will be exposed to a gas that our country's leading scientists have developed. It is non-lethal, and you will suffer no physical harm during the entire experiment. At the conclusion, you will be released and returned to your homeland. Do you agree? I remind you that non-compliance will result in immediate execution for your crimes against humanity and the Soviet Union. Do you obey? Prisoners: Yes. Scientist: Very well. In a few minutes, we will introduce the gas. Please familiarize yourselves with your new home. You'll notice you have enough food for the duration of the experiment. You'll be as comfortable on the floor as you were in your cell. Books for entertainment, a toilet for the obvious. Also, no one will enter the room once the gas is released, so it's up to you to keep your living quarters in livable condition. The gas has been introduced. Day 1. Narrator: The first batch of gas is released. Normal behavior resumes. Ganz: Is your name Hans? Hans: Yes. Ganz: It's so nice to see the face of the boy who's been crying in the next cell for the last 3 months. Come on, shouldn't we be friends while we're here? Let me guess, your father was a good worker taken away too soon, your mother a housekeeper, and you were the youngest of 4 children, the smallest in the pack. You went to war to prove a point, but ended up a casualty of circumstance. Am I right? Hans: I was the youngest of 3 children. Ganz: Ah, I was close. And you, Ulrich? Ulrich: Hans: I'll tell you my story if you tell me yours. Hans: All right. Ulrich: I was the SS's top scientist, specializing in information extraction and experimentation. I was very proud of my work. It was almost therapeutic. I can still see people's faces as I extracted their fingernails and teeth. How quickly they gave up their own families to save their own lives. Such lowly dogs. Your turn. Hans: I served near Berlin. I didn't see much of the war, only the end of it. One night, I was assigned to guard duty. I was supposed to stay awake all night, but I fell asleep. When I woke up, everyone had been killed. I ran as fast and as far as I could, but they caught me and took me to prison, where I stayed for 3 months until I ended up here. Ganz: That's what I thought. What do you think? Day 4. Narrator: The gas has been in effect for 4 days. None of them have slept, but normal behavior has resumed. The gas seems to be quite effective. Ulrich: These anatomy books are woefully inaccurate. No wonder those Russians are such barbarians. They killed your father, didn't they? Felix: Bit. Scientist: Ulrich Schultz. Ulrich: Put down Felix Nast, or we'll stop the experiment and you'll be shot. Stop it, or you'll be shot. Ulrich: You talk too much. Day 7. Narrator: The gas was active for 7 days. Normal behavior only resumed after the outbreak on the 4th day. The men were still awake. Ganz: Time for some personal business. Hey, What happened the other day? I almost killed Felix, and what happened to you? You know what I mean. Nobody intervened, nobody stopped you. You just looked at the wall and dropped it. What did you see? Look, at least tell me your story. Everybody's got a story. Felix, I was a soldier, and like you, not a very good one. I wasn't cruel in my actions, but what I stood for was condemning enough, I suppose. What we all stood for was condemning enough. I served in a camp, a labor camp. My father was a camp commander. He was a good man, as I remember from my childhood, but something about him had changed. One day, I went to his office to turn in my daily report. I opened the door, and he turned his back to me. I called out to him, but he didn't answer. He just lowered the barrel of his Luger, and, if I could ask him one thing, why? Was it fear, remorse, grief? That's why I tried. Ulrich. I don't know how much more I can take. I haven't slept in days. None of us have. It must be the gas. It keeps you awake. They're going to use it on their soldiers so they don't need sleep. I can't take it anymore. I can't breathe in my own skin. I have to get out of here. Felix, just think of your freedom. That's what keeps me going. Ulrich. You really think they're gonna give us freedom after this? Day 12. Narrator. Ganz has been screaming for 7 hours. Strange that the other men don't react. Hans has been screaming for 12 hours. His screams have been replaced by a weak whimper, as he seems to have permanently destroyed his vocal cords. Sleep experiment, day 12, June 14, 1945. End of log. Felix, did you come to say hello? What are you thinking, Felix? That's why you're there, and I'm here. Day 15. Narrator. The sleep experiment, day 15. Felix, I demand the papers off the window. Felix, get the papers off. Felix. Day 15. Felix taped the port window with paper from a book, apparently with his own feces. There are strange noises coming from the cell, but the oxygen levels show the men are still awake and alive. I don't know how long the experiment will continue. The day of the experiment is June 15, 1945. Day 17. Scientist. Gentlemen, the experiment is over. We turn off the gas and open the chamber. Stand with your backs to the wall or you will be shot. After the examination, you will be released. Prisoners, we no longer wish to be released. Day 20. Narrator. After the chamber was opened, the level of psychic damage caused by the gas became apparent. The men were gnawing into their own flesh. The amount of blood lost by the 3 men should have killed them all. Ganz was rushed to intensive care. He tried to utter words, but his torn vocal cords allowed him only a faint whisper. Struggling to regain consciousness under anesthesia, he died on the operating table at 11:45 p.m. Felix was sent to the emergency room, waiting to be put back on the gas and screaming in excruciating pain as we brought the anesthesia closer to him. He died as soon as his eyes closed from fatigue at 12:14 a.m. I left Ulrich in the room to be alone with myself. I needed answers. Scientist. Ulrich, what happened? What did you do? Ulrich. Hell couldn't wait for these people. A doctor hurting more than his patients. A boy who let his kin die because of his own negligence. A man blindly following evil for convenience. Without the fortitude of the unconscious, all men will share this fate. Scientist. Who are you? Ulrich. I'm awake. Scientist. Whether you believe these people deserve this fate is irrelevant. No human being can decide that. I only hope the world will forgive my part in this experiment. What these men did will forever go down in history, but I can still erase what I did. End logged June 22, 1945.